Of the many thousands of species of mushrooms populating the United States and Europe, only about 100 are reported to be poisonous. And of these, about a dozen are considered deadly. Among the poisonous species, the chemicals that we're calling toxins vary widely in structure and effect. From ibotenic acid, which causes fever-like delusions, sweating, and the occasional muscular paralysis, to amine toxins, which cause renal failure, coma, and usually death, to the so-called hallucinogens, psilocybin and psilocin. Indeed, mushrooms produce some very different sorts of chemicals, some of which are dangerous, some just taboo, but all are worth knowing about and worth watching out for. Shroomhunter 101 explores one of these toxic mushroom genera in its lab. In the next half of the program, we've chosen the genus Psilocybe because of its confusing reputation. And technically speaking, it's probably the genus most responsible for mushroom poisonings in the US and Europe. Though many of these intoxications are intentional, many are not. And in any case, this genus is one that mushroom hunters should know how to identify. That said, we urge you to approach the process of identification with confidence and patience. It will come to you if your interest is genuine. The process of identifying wild mushrooms is not for the simple-minded. It is far from foolproof, and mistakes can be terrifying, even deadly. Keep your eyes open and use common sense and deductive reasoning. Now on to the first lab section of our course, where we put these observations to use in identifying some temperate mushrooms. It's always best to define your search before embarking on your hunt. You might never succeed in finding the quarry you set out to collect, but the very fact that you're setting up parameters will aid you in the identification of whatever you do find. For the purposes of this lab, we know only that our minds are set on finding members of the genus Psilocybe. We don't have specific species in mind, but knowing the genus gets us started and provides a couple of basic visual and tactile markers to assist us in our hunt. The basic data: small, brownish, gilled mushroom, in lawns or in disturbed soil, wood chips or the like, often containing psychoactive alkaloids like psilocybin and psilocin, and sometimes marked with bluish discolorations where bruised or damaged. Like most mushrooms, psilocybes thrive in areas of high annual rainfall and relatively high humidity. They can be found in tropical, subtropical, and temperate regions of the world, and are known from every continent except Antarctica. To cover all these species in one video lab would be at best tedious, and at worst, impossible. So this lab, the first in the Shroomhunter video course, will focus on a specific niche of some of the most common psilocybes, the urban-dwelling temperate varieties. This group of mushrooms thrive in temperate weather zones, regions where climatic conditions are characterized by cooler, wetter winters, and within the classic common urban environments known in mycocentric circles as disturbed habitats. These sites are mostly landscape territories, lawns, enriched soils, decorative wood chips and bark, and in yard and construction waste, places where psilocybes can help vegetal matter decompose. The most common of these find themselves growing in settings around the bases of small trees and shrubs, along the shady drip lines of buildings, anywhere there is adequate moisture, and some obstacles to the loss of humidity, things like walls, branches, leaves. These psilocybes flourish in areas where annual rainfall is high and where seasonal changes are announced with dramatic variations in the color and quantity of sunlight, and with glaring changes in air temperature. Snow is common in many temperate zones. Temperatures that dip well below freezing can be expected at least a few days out of the year. These temperatures don't seem to adversely affect the spores or the mycelium they spur. And though we might think that hot, sunny summers will do great harm to a temperate mushroom's life cycle, this is not necessarily the case. In areas of high annual rainfall, the relatively short period of warmer, drier, longer summer days actually seem to act as a sort of cue to some mushrooms to grow their mycelium and get ready to fruit. When the temperatures drop again and the rains begin to fall, that's when the action really begins. Though mushrooms grow at different times of the year, the vast majority of temperate mushrooms, including psilocybes, fruit primarily in autumn and into early winter. If you're into mushrooms, fall is sure to be your favorite time of year. Shroomhunter 101, however, begins its field lab in the spring.
It's mid-April, and you're visiting a friend in Salisbury, England, just southwest of London.